that's the big benefit about smokables. You absorb a lot of it and you absorb it quickly. So if you're looking at, especially the THC market and in the social setting, potentially of cannabis, you don't want to like eat a gummy and then an hour later you're too high and you're like, oh my God, this took
Sounds like something's happened to me at a party. Yes,
now I got to go home.
Let's talk about the power of hemp. From the farm field to finished goods. Learn all about it at the 2022 Midwest iHemp Expo, May 20th through 21st at the Lansing Center. Visit MidwestIHempExpo.com. See you there.
So this technology, how is it being offered up? How are you using it exactly? I guess I'm listening to all your scientific terms, but I can't say that I'm following everything you're saying. So can we break this down into more layman's terms? I'm sure there's other people in the audience that suffer from the same ignorance. So go ahead, explain it a little bit more how this all plays out.
Absolutely. So it's, it just comes in right now we've really perfected the capsule format. So, it looks just like a normal capsule. It comes in a powder form really, and then we can formulate that into further products. So capsules being one of them, chocolates. We were talking about chocolates earlier. It works very well in chocolate.
Yeah, I'll talk about it again here, but go ahead.
Yeah. Gummies works well in gummies. We're looking into hard candies. It's hard candies are made with a very, very high temperature. So it can degrade the I'll call it a shell or the protective layer that allows to be the camouflaging agent in a sense.
What is that, like over like 180 or 212, like 212 degrees, something like that you don't want to go over?
So I mean hard candies are like 400 degrees often.
So definitely I know it's 2 something where you really don't want to go over that temperature, right?
Yeah, and you don't with things like CBDA you really need lower temperatures so that that doesn't degrade. So depending on what you're formulating with, you need to consider heat as a part of that process to make sure you're preserving everything that you can.
And you do offer some CBDA products, which is unusual. I haven't seen those before.
We do. We've been a huge proponent of CBDA since really the beginning of the whole cannabinoid movement. The second phase of the movement, I guess, was discovered long ago. But it's CBDA is actually from the plant. It's what is produced in the flower. And actually all cannabinoids stem from CBGA, which is the mother cannabinoid, and CBGA converts in the plant into CBDA and THCA and CBCA, and then variants of those forms. And then once you take that plant material, either over heat, like through extraction methods, or over time, those acid compounds will fall off and they will convert into what's more commonly known as CBD, or THCA converts into delta-9 THC, CBGA converts into CBG, CBCA converts into CBC. And then, of course, over time with something like delta-9 that can convert into CBN, which is, coming on strong as a really good sleep aid. We recently actually made a really good product that's coming to market. It's our sleep formula, and it's offered for private label, white label, and it's also in our Hemp Mellow brand with the formula we're about to launch, and called Mellow Dreams. And we use CBN in it, and I used it 2 nights ago. I took one of the capsules. It's a 25 milligram capsule, full spectrum, and I completely slept through my alarm. I was supposed to get up at 7, and I was supposed to be on the road by 7:45 or 7:30, and the light kind of shined in, and I was like, oh man, my alarm's gonna be going off. And I looked at my phone, and it was like the snooze thing was up and the stop button was on. So it's like my alarm had been going off for so long it just stopped making noise.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get up. Oh my God, I totally slept through this. And it just like, it didn't budge. I don't think I moved the entire time that I was sleeping. It just knocked me out.
Oh,
So it
Right.
definitely works.
So that was actually what I was going to ask you is I'm still pretty new to this whole cannabinoid stuff. I'm still experimenting with it. And I was going to ask you for what does various things do? And you've just described helping you sleep as one. What
Mhm.
other kind of benefits do you get from taking these various cannabinoids that you're creating here?
Yeah, so CBN, like I said, is your really powerful sleep aid. THC, Delta 9, obviously everyone knows is the intoxicating cannabinoid. It also helps stimulate appetite. CBD really more on the, to avoid medical claim, I will say normal anxiety. A
Yeah.
lot of, obviously the FDA has approved CBD, Epidiolex as a pharmaceutical for epilepsy. It also has, there is a patent within the US Department of Health and Human Services that creates cannabinoids as a whole as a neuroprotectant and an antioxidant. So, they can have a lot of tremendous impact in the body. CBG is being targeted for mood, particularly there's a company that, was formerly GW Pharmaceuticals. They were acquired by Jazz Pharmaceuticals, and they're who got Epidiolex approved. And they have a patent on CBG for schizophrenia and depression.
oh,
And
wow.
so that is being used as a target for those areas of concern. CBDA is actually a very potent anti-inflammatory. So it really can be considered an NSAID, but doesn't necessarily have some of the same negative properties that I believe ibuprofen really has had a hard time with over the last 20
Yeah,
years.
it hurts the liver, ibuprofen. So
Yep, yeah, definitely hurts the liver. And I literally just read a paper on it, but my mind is not pulling it up right now. But there's a certain reason why CBDA has a little bit, or is reported to have be safer for certain circumstances as an NSAID than something like ibuprofen. Of course, a lot more research needs to be done on the topic, but it's considered a COX-2 inhibitor. So it binds, and again, I'm not a scientist, but it really like kind of stops the inflammation from occurring by inhibiting an enzyme that creates the inflammation in the body. So it can have it's got great properties for inflammation. It also is actually more bioavailable than CBD itself.
Would it work in a topical?
Yep, you can use it in a topical. So cannabinoids have a hard time penetrating the skin. They do interact though with the receptor in the skin called TRPV1 or TRVP, PV, I think it's PV, which is like a pain receptor in a sense. And so it can interact with those receptors in the skin. Certain cannabinoids penetrate the skin more than others do. I'm not going to tell you which ones, but certain ones penetrate the skin better, which can create better formulation.
I had a bunch of CBG left over, so I infused some of that and put it in some of my craft salve that I make. And I was thinking, is CBG, isn't that an antibacterial?
Yeah. So it's been reported to be an antibacterial. CBG has a lot of very interesting properties, and I think it's going to be a major player in this space coming up. It also seems to have some benefit for focus. It's a little bit energizing, I found. I like to take it in the morning alongside CBD and CBDA. We actually have our Overcome brand, Overcome Every Day. Can't really see it in there. Oh, there you go. It's a formulation of CBD, CBDA, and CBG. And so it a lot of times, excuse me, a lot of times CBD can really make people very tired. And so I think counterbalancing it with a CBDA and CBG can help provide a little bit more stimulation. So you're not just drowning out and falling asleep. We also, our Overcome Everyday formula also has a B complex in it and D3, as well as curcumin. So it's got a really good punch of other vitamins that help support, energy and general well-being.
Are your products available in Michigan?
They are available online, which is available in Michigan.
Wow.
We are working currently with a distributor for our Hemp Mellow lineup. And we're talking with some different stores in Michigan markets and actually a couple dispensaries for our mellow chocolate. Our mellow chocolate, actually, we've been able to, the Hemp Mellow line is maximized for THC.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the limit is 0.3%. And so our capsules, we maximize, when you look at our lab results, it's like 0.298% THC, and they hold about a little over 1.5 milligrams of THC per capsule. So it's like a micro dose of THC. It really helps with general relaxation and stress and a lot of times with sleep. And we've got a chocolate that actually we're able to squeeze in 9 milligrams of Delta 9 THC into the chocolate. So we're looking at different Michigan dispensaries as a potential avenue. Though I went to a Michigan dispensary recently, and those chocolates are really cheap. So I don't know how successful we'll be. But
well, you pay for what you get now. Quality.
That's true. That's true.
So you could do a shameless plug here. Where would one find your website so that one could order it, since it's not available in Michigan? So you can send me money after the show. So I'll go ahead.
Absolutely. Hempmellow.com is one of the sites, and then overcomeeveryday.com is another site. And if you can't remember either of those, just remember to think Hempy Thoughts. And if you do that, type that in, you can find all the things that I'm associated with.
Okay.
I'm interested in trying your N you talked about. I've had very good experience with other CBN products for sleep. Yeah.
And Blaine's always thinking Hempy Thoughts. So I mean,
we actually just encapsulated the Mellow Dreams today, so they'll be available in the market in probably about 15 days. We've got to take them through bottling and all of our end contamination stages for testing, like microbials and mycotoxins. But once those check out, then I'll shoot you up a bottle if you send me your address.
All right, and we'll give you a shout out for sure when that happens. Let us know. So we'll be glad to do that.
Yeah, I've tried those chocolates. They're awesome.
Yeah, the chocolates are can be dangerous.
Dosage, Dave. Remember, it's all about dosage.
Yeah, but it's interesting because with THC, I mean, a lot of people, and I know me personally, it's like, it's so strong these days. You get these products and it's just like, oh my God, I take like one puff of this and I'm stoned out of my mind. Like I can't even move, or, I have a chocolate and I only want to take a nibble of it because it's just so powerful. And you get that anxiety kind of from it. But the chocolates with the other cannabinoids that are kind of working against the THC in a sense, I think really help tame the high. So it's a much more calming sensation, but you're very relaxed and you're a little intoxicated, but you're not like overblown intoxicated where you're too high to function.
Balance and focus.
Right.
Yeah, I've
Annie, have you you've been doing this for a little while, so have you seen consumer demand change as far as the delivery method? And what I mean by that is, gummies or or liquid form, or
yeah, I mean, first coming to market, everyone did oils because that's what manufacturers could make. There weren't major, manufacturing facilities that do capsules or would make gummies or would make chocolates or whatever. Oils are fairly straightforward. They're the easiest formula you could make. There's not a lot to it, easy to bottle. So that was like what everybody went to market with first. And now it's been gummies. I mean, people are crazy about gummies, and they're good, I think, in some sense, but they have their challenges because they're sugar. Not everyone wants to eat sugar before they go to bed or when they wake up in the morning. That some people are diabetic, they can't have them. Capsules, we've had challenges with capsules just because people are, on one hand, they're so used to taking them, but on the other hand, because they take so many, maybe they don't want to take more. Chocolate all definitely has melt issues, so it makes it a little bit more challenging to travel with. But demand has definitely shifted in favor of gummies over oils. I think it just depends on the user, though. The consumer really, I think, will stick within like the traditional supplement format. Gummies and capsules have been the market of choice for supplements, for some time now, and oils are like a tertiary kind of role in that space. And they're kind of annoying. They spill, they're awkward, they're not really concealable. And then obviously smokables, people are, that will always be a thing. However, I don't know.
Well, we've been looking at some studies that a lot of people want to, shall we say, imbibe, but they don't necessarily want to smoke. And it seems to be more women than men would prefer consuming, say, an infused wine, which is, we just had somebody on our show where they're bringing infused wine in from California, or at least California folks are going to be here to bottle it, or gummies or chocolates or whatever, versus smoking. And I would never call myself an athlete, but I work out and I bike and all that. So I as these guys will tell you, I do occasionally smoke, but it's not my first choice,
Right.
So,
Well,
and
and the odor too.
yeah, you're seeing a lot of people saying, well, I don't really want to smoke, but I still want to get the THC or the CBD. So I think edibles and that whole line is starting to get real popular.
Yeah, you just have to.
Definitely. I mean, the thing about smokables is that you have a fast onset.
Right.
And that's the big benefit about smokables. You absorb a lot of it and you absorb it quickly. So if you're looking at, especially the THC market and in the social setting, potentially of cannabis, you don't want to like eat a gummy and then an hour later you're too high and you're like, oh my God, this took
Sounds like something's happened to be at a party. Yes.
now I got to go home. I'm in a corner kind of thing.
That's it. So hair and drool, so
yeah,
that wasn't the effect I was looking for.
Right. So there's definitely a lot of innovations happening right now in the space of trying to deliver the fast onset, trying to deliver fast onset, fast offset, or fast onset longevity. I think it really ultimately depends on the consumer. Some people want, I think in general for THC, and even for CBD, most people will I want this to take effect as soon as possible, whether I'm trying to get stoned or I'm trying to help my, my pain levels or whatever it might be. And then kind of how long it lasts, I think depends on your what you're doing and things like that. Obviously, people who want something for pain want it to last as long as it can, but people who maybe want a intoxicating sensation, then it's more about, okay, let's have a faster offset so that maybe I can go and go to work, or I can go do this or that, or go drive somewhere, or whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
Blaine, I think you're muted.
Thank you. I was. Annie, with all the products you've been putting out and everything, have you had any interaction with FDA or USDA or any other agencies with putting out your products? Have you had any issues with that?
No, the FDA, unless you're making pretty bad medical claims, the FDA, I don't think really has time to deal with everything,
Okay.
given the state of the the world right now with COVID. There's been, the FDA has come out several times with warning claims. They continuously say that CBD is not a supplement, that the products are illegal, this, that, and the other. They've not, the cat's out of the bag. They can't possibly bring it back in. What we have done is gone through the Novel Food Act application process with the United Kingdom. So their FDA is called FSA, and they created a regulatory pathway for CBD products as a novel, what they call a novel food. And so with that, you have to go through a very lengthy process. You were supposed to submit everything. If you wanted to get approved, you were supposed to submit everything by last February. And so we submitted everything. We're still in that approval process right now. It's taken them a very long time. 800 products were submitted to the program, and I think I heard today there's like 100 of them left. So everybody else has been kicked out. So we're one of the remaining.
Yeah, you haven't got the. You're not in the game. That's good.
We haven't gotten kicked out yet. Knock on wood. We won't. We're hoping that we'll get approval here soon. But so we have gone through that process. The FDA really needs to do that same thing for hemp products. They have a pathway already semi-established called the New Dietary Ingredient Pathway, but there is some like weird kind of, it was never codified drama around it with the supplement space and the FDA, but because CBD was considered a pharmaceutical prior to anyone coming to market with it, the FDA continues to just stand behind that this is a pharmaceutical. You can't submit a new dietary ingredient. For instance, CW Hemp and Irwin Naturals both submitted for new dietary ingredient applications last fall sometime, and they were both denied on the premise that the FDA said this is a pharmaceutical, it's not a dietary supplement. So, I think there was also some missing data that they needed to submit. Maybe I'm not too sure, but until I think they have funding to really make it a focus, and COVID's not like a center point of everything. They have some ideally push from Congress, then we'll be able to really step forward. The thing that they seem to be missing or wanting more data on is reproductive toxicity, and was part of the food safety, the Novel Food Act. Some data we go through toxicity studies, so ideally that data will be able to support the FDA's concerns there, but we don't really know until I think they are okay with making a swim lane for isolates, CBD isolate at X concentration, because that's what was approved, versus hemp products or cannabinoids at these concentrations, because there's a big difference between pharmaceutical. The Epidiolex concentration per serving is 1,500 milligrams per serving.
Whoa.
That's an entire
milligrams
bottle
of CBD?
available.
1,500 milligrams of CBD?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I need to fact check that.
Yeah, but
I haven't looked at it in like 6 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's comparing a whole bottle that's a supplement, that somebody takes over 30 days to a concentration that's taken in one sitting.
Yeah.
So it's completely different. And that's something that, the Epidiolex was approved initially in the United Kingdom. And so they have, allowed that space for the pharmaceutical to thrive. And now they're allowing a space for the supplement to thrive. And they have a limit of 70 milligrams per day as a maximum daily use for CBD as a supplement. And until they get more data, they may end up raising or lowering that limit. But that's something that the FDA is really looking towards, as well as, what is a safe allowable use of these products. I mean, clearly they know that CBD as a sole ingredient, as an isolated ingredient, according to the World Health Organization, is, is very safe. But what about full spectrum products? What about, products that have all of these other cannabinoids in it? There's not that safety data doesn't correlate directly, because, there's a lot of hemp products on the market right now that are creating intoxication, and it's, formulation mastering in order to get to those levels, but that creates an issue in the market that needs to be clarified or structured better for us to really move forward. And once the FDA, I think, comes out with more feedback and creates that regulatory framework, we'll start seeing CBD just boom again. I mean, it was in that boom prior to COVID and was growing too fast, really. And I think that once the FDA comes out and says something, and that's when we'll see the big box stores start selling it under their own, Simple Truth organic brand, or whatever, the Krogers and Walmarts of the world want to put it under.
All right. Well, we want to pick your brain about COVID, but before we do that, we have to take a quick break to thank our sponsor and do a little bit of news. We'll be right back with those questions. But first, we want to thank the 2022 Midwest iHemp Expo. It'll be held at the Lansing Center in Lansing, Michigan, May 20th and 21st. And Blaine, you have a little bit of news about that to share, don't you?
Do. We're really excited this year. We've always felt along that we wanted to bring some other partners in with this, and we're going to have a partner with ASA, Americans for Safe Access. This year, they're going to be putting on a whole series of different speaking events and speakers coming in. One of the big ones they're going to have is about expungement. So that's certainly a big thing, especially for the
THC side of the house. Yes. So.
Yes. Yep. And through those that have had, the experience with our government agency, unfortunately, and then here's a way for them to get expunged and be able to get that off of there. So we're really excited to bring them in on this. They're going to have some classes that they're going to have on Thursday, as well as we're having our class on how to get certified with the U.S. Hemp Authority H seal. That you see products with that on. So we're doing that on Thursday. And then, of course, that'll be set up for the exhibitors. There will be an all access pass that we'll have up, and we'll have all this stuff on the site, hopefully by the end of this month.
The all access passes are available now.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave.
We just have to get the agenda up. So we're working on that, filling in the cracks, but it's going to be awesome.
So we'll have that. We always do good. It's a great educational experience. So we're looking forward to doing that. Again, that's going to be May 20th and 21st. And then Friday night, of course, will be the big party night with the Hempy Awards. So if you're making anything hemp with hemp products, wood, fiber, clothing,
CBDA tablets,
chocolate,
mellow,
CBD stuff, hey, what the heck,
so any of that.
And you're inviting my side of the house to join you, the THC crowd, right? Yes.
We are.
I know you were talking to Jamie Cooper from Sensi Magazine. I don't know if you worked a deal out with her yet, but
yeah, we're all good. That's why we connected up with Americans for Safe Access. We're focused on the whole plant and education.
So, and American Safe Access is really on the medical side more than the recreational side, but we're certainly looking forward for all of them coming in and expanding the knowledge that we have on all this for sure. Mike, anything news you want to share a little bit?
I do. Yes, indeed. I teased it at the beginning of the January adult use sales numbers are out, and they're down about 9% from December, but the good news are up 41% from the same January a year before. Wow. So 152.6 million in January adult use sales. Right now, the medical sales are really dropping off. They're down 32%. And adult use sales increased 85%. So everyone's shifting from medical to adult use. Other kind of quickies here that flower sales represented 57% of the market. And the price of a pound of these intoxicating plant is now fallen to $2,443, down 17% from December, but 53% from a year ago. So a lot of competition's coming in. Prices are falling, supply and demand, that old economic stuff, Also, I wanted to mention that, we put a little treat of our own in today's newsletter that went out. I don't know this lady personally, Lily Mishi, but she offers up a really interesting chocolate THC laced edible that you could prepare for your Valentine on Monday. And we don't usually do recipes. That's more of a Blaine thing. I don't have a hat to wear or anything. But the whole ingredients are there at mimarijuanareport.com. If you want to check it out, looks pretty easy to make. And according to her, I don't know if I want to read the graphic information she provided, but it makes you more passionate, thoughtful, and creative. Okay, well, that works for me, right? So then finally, I wanted to mention that we had a story come out of Europe. And it turns out in Europe, there's a huge demand for hemp hurd in Europe because everyone is beginning to look at it very closely for building materials. And gosh, we've discussed that many times before. I see you pulled it up there. Yes.
Yeah.
Her little statement at the top, I was going to repeat, but I thought, nah, better not. We'll let people read that. But she swears by this and says that for your Valentine, they're going to really like it. You'll like it too. But anyway, getting back to the herd. As we know, the building materials is going to be a real key area for hemp moving forward. Still have a lot of things to work out. But Europe is ahead of us, and everyone's taking a look at what they're doing over there and hoping that we can replicate it here in the US of A. So I know that would make a lot of our farmers happy. And again, we've had building materials discussed on this show many times, even discussed it on my show. And I think that would be something that a lot of farmers who aren't into hemp right now would be interested in getting into if we can kind of develop that market.
Yeah, we really need a mobile decorticator. If anybody out there has a few $100,000 to spend to get this thing kickstarted,
we just knew somebody that was looking at that, Dave.
Love to do it with other people's money.
Yeah.
So let's see. I'll just go through a couple things in here. And one of the things I want to talk about news is a topic that we've talked with Annie about before. It's about raising that THC limit that we have. So, but I gave you a little teaser about do you like to luge earlier. So Canada Greenfield Technologies, if you've heard them before, they have the hemp train. I think they've been sold to another company now. But anyways, they sent more than, it's going to be a math problem, and I know Mike knows the answer already, but they sent more than 27,000 kilograms of its hemp fibers to China for the construction of the track, for the luge and the bobsled track. So in a little bit, we'll give you the answer to how many pounds that is. It's been a bit of a wait, but hemp processing technologies companies, Canadian Greenfield Technologies, can enjoy the Beijing Winter Olympics knowing that its N-Force fiber product is lining parts of the luge and bobsled tracks in China. So as you're watching that and you're rooting on your favorite Olympian there for doing that.
Will the Jamaicans still be able to get down there okay?
I would think so.
I'm sorry.
They'll want to smoke it. That's the thing.
Jamaican bobsled team. That is so cool.
It's kind of encapsulated, so I think.
Okay.
Rats, huh?
Well, the bank wants to know. No, we won't get into that.
No, we won't get into that.
Yeah, right. The bank wants to know how much THC.
How much THC is in that ramp? Yeah.
Company notes on his website the product has been proven for far superior in performance to plastics and glass fiber and concrete. The performance is driving its demand, successfully replacing plastic and glass fiberglass in high-value concrete construction and most shortcrete projects that require higher concentration and integrity. So, just a great news there. Again,
that's so cool.
So cool on that. Also, another little note here, and this is for all the farmers out there and anybody. If you go to one of your Tractor Supply stores, you might see this. Tractor Supply stores have launched the hemp brand builders, Midwest Hemp Council members, end cap of CBD products. So you can stop in and ask them about it to see it. Now, it's not in every Tractor Supply store, but we do have, I think, 9 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, I saw Clio's on the list. I have friends up there. I'm going to text them and have them take a picture.
Yep, there's 13 different stores right now that have it. Clio is certainly one of them, Dave. I have 2 stores that are near me, and neither of them carry it right now. But as I travel around, because I get to Pawpaw every once in a while, and certainly Greenville and some other places, I'm going to stop in and take a look at it and talk to them about it so we can get them to carry a lot of hemp products. And that includes hemp bedding and other things that are going to come available.
And I think those Darren hemp frisbees would sell well at Tractor Supplies, don't you think?
Yeah, that'd be beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that's pretty interesting that came out this week, and this is what I wanted to talk about, and I think we'll get back into Annie. Congresswoman Peregrines, if I'm saying Peregrines, I'm not sure if I'm saying her name right or not, but introduced the Hemp Advancement Act. This will raise the allowable THC threshold from hemp to make the rules more workable for growers and processors while ensuring that final hemp products sold to consumers aren't intoxicating. And we noted if you look back a few times, we had James D. Decker and Phil Abedi on. They talked about the testing that they did, and that if we could raise this up to 1%, 95% of the products that they tested would be below that amount. So they wouldn't go hot, is what I'm talking about. But I know Annie, well, we've talked about that. And Annie has a very good point too. And I think, Annie, you were saying that really what you do is worry about the end product more than the field. Who cares about what the field goes to? It's really what goes to the farmer, or to the consumer, I should say. So.
Yeah, definitely. Because what they're doing is that bill pushes it up to 1%, but it keeps it at 0.3% at the finished product. And if you bring it up to 1% and farmers can, start creeping up to that 1% threshold, it makes it a lot more difficult to actually formulate the products down below 0.3%. And so it can cause some formulary issues down the road. And especially if, some states are coming on kind of trying to segregate THC levels that are found in hemp products. Oregon, for instance, recently came out with a regulatory change that allows hemp products with certain levels of THC can be sold anywhere. And then kind of a max level to another, I think it's 2 milligrams per serving or something like that, can only be sold 21 and up, but can be sold in, anywhere. You just have to say that you're 21. And then anything over 2 milligrams has to be sold in a dispensary. So it's kind of this, on one end of the spectrum, on the farm end, we're leading, pushing up to 1%. And then on the consumer side, we're saying, oh, we don't want THC in the product. So it's, really diverging the supply chain with the regulatory changes. Now, I understand why, it's important for farmers to be able to have that flexibility, but I think it's also important for the farmers to understand that just because you can go up to 1% potentially with this change doesn't mean that you should.
Yeah.
I think that'll drive demand. So if a supplier wants a certain percentage, they want below 3%, they may want a certain variety or kind or COA that shows that that's below that probably.
Yeah, definitely. And, the way that the United States goes with drug policy usually is the way that, or at least historically has been the way that the rest of the world goes. But right now, 0.3%, you can export to various countries, but up until more recently, you couldn't export them to the United Kingdom or to Europe because they had the threshold of 0.2%. And so, that's an issue. So if we now go up to 1%, Mexico is pushing 1% and some of these other nations are, but in Switzerland, but it creates an issue of trade, which can be problematic.
But the market will fix that, right?
Yeah. Isn't the figure arbitrary anyway? What was it? The DEA, it came up with 0.03 or what is the history of that?
It was a researcher in Canada that came up, and he noticed that at a certain point there was more deviation basically in the test that they're going to make it very simple here, but and so that's how that number got picked, kind of. I've said that correctly, but
Yeah, I've heard about that study in Canada. There's also, I've found in my archival research, a really interesting paper that talks about what are called the bracteoles of the plant. This was like back in the, I don't know, 40s maybe, and they were measuring the intoxicating aspect that's found in the bracteoles of the plant, and they had found that the weight of the bracteoles was 0.3% or 0.3% is how they actually wrote it out. And with that, you know, the bracteoles is when you're growing it for seed, that's like what covers the seed, and that's where all the cannabinoids are. And so they had kind of figured out that those that 0.3% of those bracteoles contained an intoxicating amount, and that actually could be where it very initially spawned from. Either that or it was a complete coincidence. I don't know.
Yeah, well, interesting stories for sure, but they're very, very little scientific that I know of that says where that level of intoxication is for people.
Yeah, I mean, in reality, it's everybody's different. You know, I could get intoxicated off of 1 milligram. You could get intoxicated off of 20. You know, it's metabolism, it's tolerance, it's a whole lot of different super complex you know, physiology in the body, and I don't think they're ever going to find a magic number.
Dave was asking the question too, so let's talk about the CBDA and all the excitement that came about that a few weeks ago.
Yeah, so there was a study that was released about 3 weeks ago now, which I think is super fascinating, the way that things catch fire, because the study came out, the New York Times picked it up, or Forbes picked it up, and then that day, like 30 people were, you know, everybody was texting me, oh, did you see this study? I'm like, yeah, oh my God, I've seen it like 17 times now. But the study showcased that they had looked at, some researchers out of Oregon had looked at CBDA. So they actually looked at a lot of different cannabinoids, and they found that CBDA, CBGA, and THCA actually had an affinity to the spike protein that's found in COVID. They only tested the original variant, so the alpha variant and the beta variant. I don't think they tested Delta, and they didn't test Omicron. But with this study, they found that it had affinity to these spike proteins, which are the little, you know, if you look at the COVID virus, it's the little
the suction cups on the golf ball. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the antennas, and so those are the spike proteins. So it has an affinity towards those, and it blocks the ACE2 receptors. There's a lot of drugs on the market, like hepatitis C and I think the AIDS virus, which also is an envelope virus, that, you know, they're created to block the receptor that the virus tries to attach to. So it's been used as an appropriate mechanism for viruses in the past. And this research, while it was not done on humans, showcased that CBDA, and in particular CBGA, were able to attach to or have an affinity towards that spike protein and block replication within you know, their system that they had created, which was like a pseudo human, I guess. And super fascinating research. What I thought was so interesting about it is that back in November, I went to this pharmaceutical conference for cannabinoids, and one of the speakers was talking about research that she had done back in like March on the subject, and it showcased the same thing, but she didn't test the acid form. She just looked at CBD, THC, and CBG, and she found that CBD, you know, it blocked the ACE2 receptor, and so it was, you know, could be used as a potential preventative care or the like. And I think actually she might have looked actually at CBDA because it was being targeted to reduce cytokine storms, which is creating like all the inflammation and making people super sick because your body starts to overreact and then gets in like hyperdrive and you know, was creating even larger problems. And so she had discovered that like a year before this other research had come out, but no one ever talked about it. There was no news about it. It was nowhere to be found. It was just like, and then all of a sudden this other article comes out a year later, and it's like, well, yeah, duh, this is old news. But that one caught fire. So everybody's, then I had heard all of these, being in the formulation space, we had been formulating with CBDA and CBGA, long before this had come out. One of my business partners and I had actually had, with CBGA being the mother cannabinoid, it was like, oh, this has got to be like the cannabinoid, I bet it's like the holy grail. What are we going to use with this? We were just like putting it with CBDA as the two and taking them every day and stuff. And it's like, when the research comes out and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's could possibly solve a major problem in the world. Now, of course, like a lot more research needs to be done on this subject. This was one incident in a controlled environment. It's not being touted as, a cure-all or anything like that. The paper actually specifically points out, the first line of the paper is, when used in conjunction with, as a complement to vaccines, is actually the verbatim words, but it's not to be really considered as a cure-all or anything like that. And a lot more research needs to be done on it.
Well, have you taken your CBD yet today?
I take it every day, take it every morning, take it every night.
We should all take our CBD every day.
Yeah, I will say though, I don't think that CBD works against Omicron. So there was this first researcher that did her the research out of the Chicago Institute. She actually did a correlation study as well, and she looked at different populations of people who specifically were taking the pharmaceutical Epidiolex, and looked at those different subsets of people and compared those subsets to people who had similar environments, but looked at if they got COVID or they didn't get COVID. And the people that were taking Epidiolex had a much lower potential rate of infection than people that weren't taking CBD. Now, I would say just in my personal life, since 2020, the hemp industry, really stopped, but people were still going to events. People were still doing a lot of things. I think it was a little bit less, people were less freaked out of the people that are in this industry for some reason. But a lot of, friends and colleagues in the space weren't getting COVID. We'd go out, we'd see people, me personally, I was exposed several times. I never got it. And then at the end of this year, when the Omicron virus really started coming in hot, I got COVID. My boyfriend got COVID. Like 10 different colleagues I know all got COVID. And it's like, okay, I don't know if CBD, it was probably working for the originals, but I don't think it's working for this one, because there's been a really high rate of infection now among, a lot of people that I work with that all take CBD and hadn't gotten it, and now they've all gotten it. So super interesting research. I think it can be very helpful for, what is to come. But I definitely wouldn't lean on it as, your cure-all of, COVID killer kind of thing.
No, but you really should take your CBD every day.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Beyond the COVID aspect of it,
And what CBD brand should we be taking? I'm
going to pronounce it wrong.
Softball again. Go ahead. So
you should definitely check out Overcome Every Day and hempmellow.com and Anavii Market. All three of those websites have really quality products. In particular, the Hemp Mellow and Overcome Every Day both have the unique delivery system Naturia behind them that improves absorption in the body. And then Anavii Market has a lot of different brands on it, but we've recently launched Anavii branded products. So we've got a relief product that's already on the site that's a CBDA. product. And then we're coming out with an energy capsule as well as a stress relief capsule. So those will be available in about 3 weeks or so as well.
Awesome. And where can people find you again, Annie?
ThinkHempyThoughts.com.
Beautiful. Think Happy Thoughts. Blaine Bechtold, I'm told that we have a recipe suitable for a Super Bowl party. Is that true?
I don't know. This was
Okay.
kind of cool too.
Yeah, the chocolates.
It's probably not the Super Bowl party thing,
Chocolates,
where you want the
they're-
passion and all that stuff, right?
I
So.
like this. These names too. The Puppy Show, peanut butter brownie stick. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking about making a batch of that. Just see what the heck,
I was
So.
gonna make some of my CBD balls. I haven't gotten to it yet.
You're award winning.
Yeah, got my Hempy award here somewhere. We're coming up with the new Hempy award. You're gonna want to enter the Hempies, Annie.
Oh, sure. Well, then, matter of fact, Annie, I hope you're still, we moved the date. And I hope you
Yes.
still have you can still come join us in May. That's the 20th and 21st, because we have you on a panel for women in hemp. So,
Oh, fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
so
Yeah.
And we guarantee the weather will be nice in Michigan at the end of May. So
That is
much
true.
better.
I believe you this time.
right now, not so much. But I mean,
Well, we all guaranteed 68, 70 degrees indoor. Yeah.
it didn't matter if it's January or then. I'm still going to guarantee that same thing. So, I mean,
yeah, good
that's-
point.
Just a couple quick things before we get into the recipe. So we did mention about employment. If you're looking for work, the USDA Farm Agency is hiring in 5 different locations. They're looking for program technicians. Berrien Springs, Coldwater, Jackson, Mount Pleasant, and Saginaw, where they're looking to fill positions. So if you're looking for that, we'll try to get it up on the website. You can just go to USDA jobs or just do a search for USDA jobs in Michigan, and you'll be able to fill. The applications need to be in by the 23rd of February for those positions. So, and then Food Chain ID, one of our partners, is going to be helping us at the expo, and we're going to be putting on that class. They're having an interesting webinar. They're having what's driving consumer demand for organic food and beverage products, and this is going to be on Thursday, the 17th at 2 p.m. That's when that's going to be. So, if you're thinking about doing a beverage product, organic, maybe a good one to listen to and get some information on that. With that being done and said, Mike, anything you want to add before we get into the recipe for next week? Who we got talking on the show? Or
Still getting that set up for next week. We just had Fabio Rodi on the show yesterday, and I wasn't really sure what he was up to, but after we put him through the grilling, he's doing a lot of stuff, and he's going to come up with a system for hemp farmers where they'll plant the farm, the hemp, they'll harvest the hemp for you. Of course, then you have to do all the maintenance in between, and they'll even dry it and process it and give you the oils, and he's got a whole thing going. And then the other thing he's going to doing, I wasn't aware of, that he's going to go retail as well. He's going to have some retail outlets. So he's
Mike,
a busy lad.
where can people find that podcast if they want to watch that podcast?
You can actually just go to mimarijuanareport.com. We have a link there, and you can watch the whole thing. You can also get your recipe for your Valentine's Day edibles. Now, I know Dave and Blaine are probably going to check that one out. So, but it's there. Just scroll down a little bit and put my glasses on so I can actually read it. Oh yeah, we got Annie there. Okay, keep going a little bit more. And well, I'll get rid of a little more down. We had a lot of stuff that came in at the last minute. Right there,
Yep,
lower
there it
that one that says
Right
lower
there.
hemp costs,
Yep.
oils and whatnot. Right. So the link is there, so you can watch the show at your leisure. But very informative. I didn't realize all the stuff he was getting into and what he was bringing to the party here in Michigan. And a lot of it's really good. He doesn't really do so much in the cannabis space, but certainly in the hemp space. So if you want to find out what this guy, it's kind of like, I was saying to him, it's kind of like being a sharecropper kind of thing. And he goes, well, I wouldn't go like that, but it's something along those lines. So if folks want to get into the hemp space and want to have somebody do all the heavy lifting for them, that's what he's going to provide.
Exciting. That's what we need.
All right. And next week's show, this will be on the 17th. We're going to have Jeff Kushert from, well, it used to be HGIC. Now they've merged. He's going to tell us all about that and tell us about some of the new varieties they're coming out with, and give everybody tips on how to grow this for grain and fiber, which is where we know that this is going to as well. So we'll look for that. So Dave, anything else I'm missing? Have I forgot anything? Okay, well then let's get into this then. This is a guacamole dip for, again, any party that you might be having coming up, and there may be a big one coming up this weekend for some people. Now for me, because I used to be a government employee, of course, on February 21st, remember all your post offices are going to be closed because that's President's Day. So, we would do this for President's Day. That would be our big party that we would have. But anyway, I digress. So there's a couple parties coming up, certainly. And then, of course, there's a little thing that happens in March that's kind of exciting. So this could be used for that. You know how I am. I'm a pretty simple guy. I don't even think this take 30 minutes to really make, but it says 30 minutes on there. And we want to give credit where credit is due here. This is from the Hemp Nut Cookbook, is where we got this from. But it's two large ripe avocados, some fresh lime or lime juice, medium tomatoes, some onions, garlic, and of course the ever important hemp shelled hemp seed, which makes it a very good and nutritious product as well. A little salt, a little cilantro or chili powder if you like that too. You can make it any way you want, but main thing is make sure you throw in the hemp parts because that's one of the big things. So we've still been trying to work on the smell-o-vision and the taste-o-vision. We haven't quite got to that yet, but I'm going to show everybody a little.
Hold on, I got to spotlight you.
Okay, there we go.
He's got to talk. There you go. Talk.
Yeah, and so this is the so a wonderful little dish to go for any party you may have coming up. Hope your favorite team wins in the Super Bowl. Myself, I guess.
Now, are you going to have that with your pizza tonight to celebrate your wife's birthday?
No, we probably won't have that. But Mike, since you mentioned that, we might have some, and this would go good with this product too. Is the Unplugged Rockstar? Andy, have you had any of this yet?
No, I haven't.
This is awesome. This just came out last Thursday. So Thursday I ordered it on Amazon, where it came from. It's $20 a case or something like that, and delivered on Sunday.
For 12.
And for 12 of them, and the 12 ounces. And this one happens to be raspberry cucumber. This one happens to be passion fruit. And then they have the blueberry as well.
Wow.
And I can't really do a lot of the energy drinks. They kind of tear up my system like the Rockstar original and Monster drinks or any of those. They just tear up my system. But this does have 80 milligrams of caffeine in it. So it's not like it doesn't have a little kick to it. And I'm going to be ordering more of these. And hopefully we're going to get them to maybe be a little sponsor for the expo as well.
So this one you can drink okay, as you're saying?
Yeah, I have no problem with this. Okay. It's very good. The one that tastes the most original, raspberry cucumber is pretty mellow. Passion fruit's pretty good too, but the blueberry, it does taste pretty much like blueberry. So just put one there.
Kind of like a Faygo Pop?
Yep.
And does it have CBD in it, or what is it?
No, it does not. It just has hemp seed oil in it. Is what it has.
Oh, okay.
As well as other ingredients, obviously, but and it's zero sugar. But no CBD, and that's why they went into this market, I'm sure, because remember that until FDA comes out and says, yeah, okay, it's all right to do it, does a company really want to come out like this big company and put a CBD in it yet? But that'll be the next thing, right? Hemp seed and CBD is what will be next, but it's pretty good. Again, you can order it on Amazon, $20, get you 12 cans of it, and delivered right to your door, free. If you're an Amazon Prime member.
Wow. Now we just got to have Annie bottle it up with her CBD products, and then we'd have the whole thing covered, right? So, yeah.
So Annie, thank you very much for being on the show today. You're always a welcome guest, and you always have such great information to share with everybody. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, you can see Annie in May at the Midwest iHemp Expo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Annie will sign whatever you want in person, I guess.
Bring your own Sharpie, though, right?
All right. Thanks so much, Annie. Great to see you.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Peace and love.
All right. See you next week.